Welcome to MrCScience.com's video on the composition of air. Last video we talked about water vapor, one of the main compositions of air causing humidity. So let's talk about the rest of air. So we already know about water vapor. The concentration of water vapor, as we learned, varies because the relative humidity of water vapor varies across the globe. Scientists have a whole nother science to study how that varies and how that affects us. That's called meteorology, the study of weather. The most common gas in the atmosphere is nitrogen. Nitrogen gas makes up 78% of the air we breathe. Interesting thing about nitrogen gas is that it is inert. What does that mean? It means it does not react with anything, at least not very easily. Nitrogen has a triple bond. We'll learn that later in chemistry when you take that. And this is very hard to break. In fact, nitrogen is required for life on Earth. All life forms need nitrogen, but almost none of them can actually get it. They need bacteria to break down that nitrogen. Otherwise, so 78% of the air we breathe in is nitrogen, 78% of the air we breathe out is nitrogen. Same amount goes in and out, and we need bacteria to pull that apart for plants to gather it for us, and then we eat the plants, we get the nitrogen from that. The next most common gas is oxygen. Oxygen makes up 21% of the air we breathe. Ever wonder why you need to breathe oxygen? I mean, what's special about oxygen? Well, oxygen, one thing we know oxygen does for sure is combustion, fires. Fires require oxygen. A chemical name for a fire is rapid oxidation. So when something burns, oxygen combines with it. When wood burns, oxygen combines with the carbon to give us carbon dioxide. So that's necessary. Combustion, a form of combustion occurs inside our cells to break apart sugars to make energy. So we need that oxygen to make energy for our bodies. Without it, we cannot generate energy and we quickly die, or what we say is suffocate. So oxygen is required for that. Interesting thing about oxygen is very reactive, so it's very destructive. Can cause lots of damage. Rust on your car. If you have rust, that is actually your car very slowly burning. Oxygen combined with the iron to make iron oxide, and it is burning up. Fires are, of course, I said needs oxygen. What's interesting is our oxygen levels are at kind of a fine point. Too high, they cause lots of damage. Too low, we have a hard time getting enough oxygen to breathe. If people go up very high mountains like Mount Everest, and if it's high enough, they have to take oxygen with them because there's not enough oxygen in the atmosphere to create enough pressure for their lungs to pull in the oxygen they need. If we increase oxygen too high, other things can happen. Like we said, fires require oxygen. Well, fires would be much more intense. Um, High oxygen percentages can cause blindness. Reacts with the material in your eyes and causes damage there. It can also cause lung damage. So high oxygen content isn't a good thing. We need it about where it is right now. Sometimes doctors prescribe someone having a higher concentration of oxygen, but they also weigh the concerns and the problems that might occur because of it. The next gas in the atmosphere is argon. Only 0.9% of our atmosphere is argon. That's just under 1%. Why is this important? Well, I just listed it because of the next gas that you're very familiar with. Carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide wasn't what it was before. When I was a kid, it was just a something that we breathed out, something fires created, something plants took in to eat. Now, carbon dioxide has been listed as one of the greenhouse gases and the one that they have targeted that's causing global warming. We'll talk about global warming in more detail and carbon dioxide itself in more detail in a later video. But they make a really big deal of it. But let's take a look at this. Carbon dioxide makes up 0.03% of our atmosphere. When compared to oxygen, it's extremely tiny. So that'll come up in the global warming video, but carbon dioxide is a very small component of our atmosphere, but very important. We'll talk about how it keeps the earth warm and how plants need it to take energy from the sun, convert it into foods that we can all live on and survive. If you do the math, then the remaining gases in the atmosphere, which we're not going to go into detail on, make up 0.07% of the atmosphere. So some of those are sulfides, some are methane, things like that. So for the test and study guide, a couple things you should probably be aware of: nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, carbon dioxide 0.03%. Know those going forward, and it'll relate into the next videos we work through. If you have any questions on any of this, feel free to contact me at Mr. C at MrCScience.com. Thank you.